Kay Flock recently spoke out on Instagram Live following the conclusion of his trial. He was found not guilty of the most serious charge, but was convicted on 5 other counts, including possession and RICO charges. However, his lawyer remains confident, emphasizing that these convictions do not significantly impact his case. The most concerning charge, the passing of Oscar Hernandez, was dismissed, which could positively affect Flock's release date. According to reports, prosecutors submitted a letter stating, "It could be misunderstood. The jury must determine whether the defendant, with his idiosyncrasies, believed the victim was about to use physical force." Initially, the judge wanted the jury to assess the case from the perspective of a reasonable person. However, the report suggests that the jury considered Flock's unique upbringing and mindset shaped by street life. Given his fears and experiences, he genuinely believed Hernandez posed a lethal threat. This perspective helped justify a self-defense argument on the most serious charge, prompting Flock to address the situation publicly on Instagram.
Flock here, a lot of talk about the trial. Just want to set the record straight though. Make my first official statement about it. I want to give thanks to everybody who supported me and kept me in their prayers. I want to thank everyone who was involved in my trial, especially the judge who made sure I was treated with respect about the process. I have to thank my lawyer, Michael Ashton, no cap, for not giving up on me and putting me in the fight. You know, we still fighting because we ain't over till Allah saves me. I want to thank every one of my fans and supporters. I love y'all, everything to the chin, nothing to the heart. And my spiritual faith is higher than ever been, and I pray everyone out there is at peace and feel positive too.
Kay Flock was found guilty on 5 other charges, largely due to a former gang member testifying against him. Reports reveal that Flock allegedly used a firearm in 2020 against someone who had previously threatened his friend. However, that same friend has now turned against him in court. The informant, identified as Brockington, also known as Dougie, should not be confused with Flock's close friend. Dougie B. Dougie, the informant, was arrested for drug-related offenses, but chose to take a plea deal rather than serve time, ultimately testifying against Flock and placing the blame on him. Despite this betrayal, Flock remained in good spirits, even appearing upbeat during a jail phone call with
Flock it on my dog. Soon come home, man. You got these little boys walking around with no jewels, Flock. They need you. They need you, Flock.
Lil J showed his support for Kay Flock by posting Free Flock. However, with Dougie testifying against Flock, his release date could be heavily impacted. Court transcripts reveal a key moment when prosecutors questioned Dougie about what happened after he was shot. They asked, "After you got hit, who called you in the hospital?" Dougie responded, "Kay Flock called. He said, 'You know we got you, bro.' He then added, he was going to retaliate against whoever hit me." Prosecutors used this testimony to establish Flock's involvement, asking, "Flock hit them up in retaliation for you?" Dougie confirmed, replying yes, and further stated that someone was grazed during the incident. Additionally, he admitted that Flock had a firearm and had been on calls with rival gang members who were circling their block. This testimony aligns with the circumstances surrounding Oscar Hernandez's passing, with Flock's friend B.
So I saw some fans who were at both me and academics after Kay Flock got locked up because I guess, like, you know, in our tone when we talked about it, you know, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like, you know, your boy is just done and he's cooked in the situation.
People, especially people that don't even know him. Like, y'all don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. The case files detail how the incident unfolded on December 23, 2021, when Kay Flock was charged with the passing of Oscar Hernandez. On that day, Flock was walking down the sidewalk with his sister, dressed in a blue coat, a shiesty mask, and designer jeans. As he passed a barbershop, his rival gang member, Oscar Hernandez, spotted him. Instead of letting Flock walk by, Oscar confronted him, asking, "What are you looking at?" With a history of animosity between them, the situation quickly escalated into a heated argument. Flock, not wanting to involve his sister in street issues, kept walking. However, Oscar continued following him, and surveillance footage shows Oscar reaching into his jacket as he trailed Flock. Feeling threatened, Flock turned around and fired multiple shots, striking Oscar and causing him to collapse on the sidewalk before fleeing the scene. Witnesses immediately called 911, and paramedics arrived to transport Oscar to a nearby New York hospital, where he later passed away. At the scene, police found only Oscar's slides and several shell casings. The NYPD quickly secured footage from a nearby store, capturing the entire incident, but they had no immediate way of identifying the shooter. Desperate for leads, authorities released an image from the footage to the public. Almost instantly, fans recognized Flock's outfit from an Instagram live session earlier that day, where he was seen wearing the same blue coat and Shiesty mask. This led to a warrant being issued for his arrest. Knowing time was limited, Flock made the most of his final hours of freedom by hiring one of the best defense attorneys in the game. Together, they walked into the police station where Flock voluntarily surrendered. His lawyer swiftly released a statement saying, "I accompanied Kevin as he self-surrendered to detectives at the 30th Precinct. Arrangements were immediately made with the NYPD once I learned he was wanted. As for the charges against him, we have begun our investigation into these allegations. We will address bail once we have had a chance to review the case and further examine the DA's noteworthy disclosure." After reviewing the surveillance footage, Flock's lawyer immediately began building a self-defense case, arguing that
it hits the ground and is found. He's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. So we consider that to be self-defense.
So he did take even in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. You know, I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case.
Okay.
The government claims that he pulled it. But at the same time, the person that was ground had his hand on a illegal loaded.
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense.
That could be one of the arguments, self-defense, and I would say to the public, somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear is going to use it, with a criminal record a mile long. Do you want to get or do you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to hold.
this led to Bobby speaking out about Flock's situation.
What's it like for you watching the K Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so I like that. That's my guy.
Okay.
But I'm wishing him the best right now. You know what I'm saying? And for the alleged charges they pushing on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best. I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything. You know what I'm saying? And I hope he beats the alleged charges. Because he got a lot of future brightness. He got it. I hope, you know what I'm saying?
That would be a sad story if that's the end.
No, we ain't gonna think like that. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
However, this incident led the feds to scrutinize every aspect of K Flock's life. Aware that his legal team was pursuing a self-defense claim, the NYPD investigated Flock's background and linked him to the Third Side Street crew. This connection allowed them to add RICO charges to his case. Reports confirmed that Flock was indicted by a federal grand jury on multiple racketeering conspiracy charges. The news sparked strong reactions from the hip-hop community, with some saying, "K Flock just caught a RICO, it's really over." DJ Academics also weighed in, stating, "The feds just unsealed an indictment on K Flock for a RICO charge. The YTT mandatory minimum, if he doesn't beat those charges or snitch, is life in prison. He's still facing state charges that have him locked up." Flock's lawyers responded to the indictment saying, "We're not surprised by the federal charges, as we've been fighting Kevin's state charges for over a year now. Considering the incident was a clear act of self-defense, the original charge wasn't strong. But the fact that it's now being used as a basis for a RICO charge is extraordinary. The video clearly shows Kevin attempting to walk away from Oscar, before using an item to defend himself and his sister from an armed Oscar, who was reaching for a firearm in his pocket." Surprisingly, the first day of Flock's trial went in his favor. Reports indicated that the prosecution appeared unprepared, struggling to answer the judge's questions, and failing to present strong evidence against Flock's defense. However, this case highlights a growing trend of law enforcement
An aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
Even Young and Ace were name-dropped by the Jacksonville sheriff. This raises the question, are we witnessing a...
So Young and Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing. And that's for the betterment of our community.